Hello everybody, and welcome back to this Make a Game Devlog. Today we were going to be continuing with the character customization, but something happened and that's not gonna work anymore. Oh god! Okay, anyway, in the time between this and the last episode, I've actually got the customization system working to a point where I think I could just spend a bunch of time making scripts and sprites and get a lot of stuff happening. The only problem with that is that the customization system is now tied to the item system, and I'm worried about how that's going to be implemented into the networking in the future, and I don't want to do anything too big that I'm going to have to come back and change later. So that means that I'm going to have to add in the networking before I finish the customization, and I know that's going to be a big step. So we're not going to do that today. What we're going to do today is a big rundown of all the features in the game currently and how they work. I've prepared a nice little chart here that shows how everything works together, and oh no, it's back! Okay, so after that refactoring, everything's looking pretty neat. There's still a little bit of spaghetti code, but hey, that's what you get when you make a game. I'll go through with a fine-tooth pasta strainer later on and get that fixed up. Getting back on track, have a look at this flowchart. Keeping in mind, this isn't like a real representation of how these things work together, it's just kind of like a abstract idea. I'm about to go into detail and explain each particular section, but this is just a nice overall view of everything. So to get started, we're going to talk about the first thing that I made for this, and also the source of all my pain and misery, the sprite rotation scripts. I've talked about these scripts in a previous episode, so I won't go too much into detail, but they are the backbone of the entire system that I have here. They are, however, unfortunately, finicky. The sprite rotation, that's the easy part. It's handled by these two scripts and they do it very well. But getting the rotated sprites to be positioned properly, now that is hard. Then throw in making them line up to the pixel grid and you've got yourself a bit of a challenge. I think there were at least 8 times when ugly bugs showed their heads and I was wondering if it would ever even work at all. But I did get there in the end, for now at least. Like these bugs keep on showing up when I least expect it. I don't know if there'll be another wave of weirdness. Anyway, onto the IK controller script. This script basically just takes 2 rotated sprite objects and tries to make a triangle with the target. It's pretty simple really, and the hardest part is probably getting it to work with rotated sprites, to be honest. And finally, the sprite rotation controller, which is basically just an update manager for every single sprite rotation. This wasn't necessary until I tried to make him look left, and then I got a whole bunch of off by 1 rounding errors. Trying to get everything to fit on the pixel grid is tough, I tell ya. So now, what we have to do is flip the player to the right, do all the sprite positionings, and then flip him back to whatever direction he was. If he was already facing right, then that's good, but if he's facing left, we flip him back after all the updates have been done. And this script manages all of that. And I have a script called Play Rotation Controller, which actually inherits from this one, and just does a little bit of finer detail work. So that's the sprite rotation scripts. I personally feel like they could use a little bit of tidying up, but it's nothing too big. And I'm not in any rush to go back to off by 1 rounding error hell. Moving on to the next system, player movement, or apparently player movement. I don't know, the spacing in this is a bit weird. Anyway, this is the second system that I made, and even though I documented it extensively in the second video that I made, I then changed it almost immediately after I finished that video. So we should go into a little bit of detail and explain exactly what is happening now. The movement is mostly self-contained in this one script. Looking at it for the first time in a while, there's a couple of weird things like this variable here that's equivalent to a vector2.0. I'm not sure why that's there, but apparently it's necessary, I guess. I don't know what I was thinking back when I coded this for the first time, but sure, I'll go with it. The value never changes, so I don't know why it can't be a constant, but sure, again, whatever. The important variables for this script are the ones shown here. A float for horizontal and vertical, a couple of bools for sneaking, crouching, grounded, and incoming ground, a float for max speed, 1 for gravity, 1 for jump height, 1 for ground angle. Then we have a normal jump gravity addition and a small jump gravity addition, plus a walk speed and a run speed. In the fixed update, we get the horizontal, the vertical, the sneaking, and the crouching, and then we raycast for the ground and get the ground angle. After that, if we're not grounded, we do another raycast to see if the ground is incoming. This is mostly just for the animator. After that, we handle the movement and the jumping. In the movement function, first we start by constructing a target velocity. We add the horizontal speed as the x component of a vector, and then times it by the movement speed, whether that be the running or the walking speed. And then we get the changed velocity by subtracting the target velocity from the current velocity. We clamp that value between our max speed and our min speed, set the y to 0, and use the rigidbody.addForce function on impulse mode while rotating the velocity so it's parallel to the ground angle. We also add in the gravity. And the jump function is pretty simple. That's the most of it. Everything else is just animator stuff. We can move on to the next section. And that section is the item section, although hold on a second, we only use it in the customization section and only a little bit, so we'll talk about that instead. And in fact, I talked about most of the customization system in the last episode, so let's just go over what's new. We have our customization controller, which takes a bunch of the items that we made and turns them into objects that get put on the player. For instance, let's say we have a shirt item. It has a bunch of values for the collar of the shirt and the length of the sleeves. The customization controller will take this and create those items and apply them to the player. And that's the gist of how all the customization is done for the player. Obviously we handle the face parts different to how we do the shirts and pants, but I am still using an item system for those as well. Whether that's going to turn out to be a good idea in the long run, I'm not sure. I'm doing this for the first time, so yeah. And that's the gist of it. This section was kind of short, mostly because I'm still halfway through it, and also because I just did a video on this. So next comes the networking, which I'll go over in the next episode. Hopefully I should have at least 2 videos doing some editor tutorials out in between this and that. Till then though, I'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. Okay, bye.